Morning. All right, let's talk some slope-intercept form today. Yesterday we talked about what slope was, how to find slope. Today we're going to talk about slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is basically this way that we can use to write all linear equations. And it's really helpful for us because we're going to talk about two things, the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so slope-intercept form looks like this. The equation is going to be written as y equals mx plus b. The y and the x are always going to be y and x in our formula because they just stand for any point, right? So like an x value of 2, the y value of 5, the x value of 3, the y value of 6. You know, like whatever that point is, because we know there's an infinite amount of points on this line. The m, just like we talked about yesterday, is our slope. Okay, so our slope is always going to be this number. If it's written like this, it's going to be this number that's in front of x, the coefficient of x. All right, and it's kind of nice because we can just look at an equation and tell me what the slope of a line is if they give it to us in slope-intercept form. The b over here is the y-intercept. And I'm not sure if you know what y-intercept means or x-intercept, but if we think about a graph, an intercept is the place where a line crosses the x or y axis. So let's say I had a line that looked like this, right here. Okay. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. It has an x-intercept and it has a y-intercept, right? The x-intercept is the spot where it crosses the x-axis, which is right here at 2, or the point 2, 0. Would be an x-intercept. The y-intercept up here is the point where it crosses the y-axis. So in this case, that would be 3, or the point 0, 3. So x and y-intercepts are important to us, actually, more than you know. We're going to talk about them all year, pretty much. When we get to quadratics, we're going to do a lot with x-intercepts. While we're on linear equations, we're going to do a lot with y-intercepts. Because in the slope-intercept form, it's going to tell me where a line crosses the y-axis right here in for b. So for example, let's say I was writing the equation of this line right here. All right, well, I can see that it crosses the y-axis at 3, and then also need the slope. Well, I have 2 points. Yeah. So maybe I could use those 2 points, right? So I could go, this is number 1, this is number 2. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that'd be negative 3 over 2. So my slope in this line, I use my slope formula from yesterday, and I just found the slope between those 2 points. So if I want to write this line in slope-intercept form, y equals negative 3 halves x plus 3, because it crosses at positive 3. If my y-intercept's negative, then this would be a negative 3, or you could write minus 3 if you wanted to do it that way. But either one would work. So literally, this equation right here is this line on the graph. It has a slope of negative 3 halves, as a y-intercept of 3. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a lot of things with slope-intercept form. Either I give you a line and you do some stuff with it, or I give you an equation and then you make a line from that, you know, whatever that looks like. But slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, is going to be how all of this stuff works. So let's say I could do another graph real quick. I think the graphs are probably the easiest, so I won't bore you to death with those. Let's go. Here's my line. All right, and I want to know the equation of that line. So there's always going to be two things I need. I always need the slope, I need the y-intercept. If I have those two things, then I can write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So y-intercept's pretty easy. I can just look right here where it's across the y-axis. It might not always be a pretty point, and that's a little bit of a trouble because then we're going to have to do something to solve for that point. But as long as it crosses at a nice spot, like this one crosses at -4, then we are pretty good with that, because I can just say that b is -4 here. Because it crosses right there at -4. But then I need my slope, so I'm going to have to use 2 points. Well, I can use that point if you guys want to. So that would be the point 0, -4. And then I need another point. So let's use this one. That point would be 1, -2. And I just kind of looked at the graph and picked a nice point. Somewhere where I can tell it obviously crosses. So 1, -2 works, 0, -4 works. We'll go from those two. So this is number 1, this is number 2. I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And -4, I'm going to bam bam. -4 plus 2 is -2. 0 minus 1 is -1. And a negative divided by a negative, we know, is just a positive 2. So my slope is 2. My y-intercept is -4. Now I can write my equation. Y equals 2x plus -4. And there you go. That's our equation of our line in slope-intercept form. Again, if you want to write -4, that's okay here. We don't have to keep it 2 over 1 because I know that's just 2. So typically I'll just write it 2. But if I wouldn't be wrong necessarily if you wrote 2 over 1. Just realize on a multiple choice or test or something like that, you would never see that. But that would be okay. All right, so there's that. What if they tell me, hey, the slope of this line is 3/4. Okay, so there's a slope of a line that's out there, it's 3/4, and it goes through the point 6, 15. Can you write an equation in slope-intercept form of that line? Absolutely we can, okay? So I know the slope already, which is kind of nice. But I don't know the y-intercept because I only know it goes through some random point 6, 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as my x value and my y value because it's a point that's on our line. So I'm going to plug the y, the 15 in for y. My slope is 3/4. My x is 6. And I don't know b. So from there, 3/4 times 6, so I'll just go over 1, that'd be 18 over 4. And that would simplify, right? 2 goes into both of those. So it'd be 9/2. I'll just write 9/2. 9/2, okay? And then to get b by itself, we're going to subtract 9/2. Subtract 9/2. And I'm gonna have to do a little bit of math. 15, I need common denominators, so 15 as halves is 30 halves. Minus 9 halves would give me 21 halves. So now I have my slope. I found my y-intercept. This is an example of a y-intercept that's not so pretty, but that's okay. And then I can still write my equation. So now I got y equals 3/4 x plus 21 halves. And notice we are not ever going to ever write anything in decimal form. It is always going to be in fraction form. Don't even try to write decimals. You just need to get better at doing your fraction math, okay? Okay, so that's if I give you the slope and I give you a point. We didn't give you a graph. Let's do one different one. And then, how long is this? 11 already? Yeah. I'll do one more and then I'll call it quits, okay? All right, so let's say I don't know anything except for 2 points that this line goes through. So this line goes through -5, 26. And it goes through what else does it go through? 3 and 10. 310. All right. So I know there's a line and it goes through these 2 points. And as long as we have 2 points, we can define a line, right? 1 point's not enough. I need 2 because now there's one specific line that goes through my 2 points. So the first thing we want to do, again, we need 2 things. We need a slope, we need a y-intercept. Well, I know how to find the slope from here, right? We did that yesterday. So let's start there. This is point 1, this is point 2. If you want to write little x's and y's to help you out, you can do that too. If you haven't noticed from just these 2 days, you're going to use this thing to find slope a lot. So the better you get at it, the better that will be. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is going to give us, let's see here, 10 plus -26 is -16. Bam, bam. 3 plus 5 is 8. And -16 over 8 simplifies to -2. So my slope is -2. But I still need my y-intercept, right? I don't have that. So we're going to do exactly what we just did a second ago and just pick either of these 2 points. And that's going to be our x and our y that we're going to use for our point. Now you're going to get the exact same answer no matter which one of these points you pick, I promise. Typically I just look for the easier point. So like if one of them has a 0 in it, I always pick that point. If one of them has all positive numbers or smaller numbers, those are good choices. But I'm going to just pick this one, I think. We could pick this one and that'd be fine too. But here's my slope. Here's a line that goes, or point that it goes through. So start with slope-intercept form. Make sure you guys can see this, so I write it. And then I'm going to plug in my slope. And this is going to be my x and my y. So my y value is 10. My slope is -2. My x is 3. And we don't know what the y-intercept is, but we're going to find it real quick. -2 times 3 is -6. Add 6 to both sides. And our y-intercept looks like 16. So now we have the 2 things we needed. We have our slope, we have our y-intercept. All I'm going to do is write that equation, y equals -2x plus 16. And that is how you can write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form if I only have 2 points that it goes through. So hopefully that was good. We just talked about what slope-intercept form was. How do I write in slope-intercept form if I give it a graph, if I have a point and a slope, if I have 2 points that it goes through. Your main thing that you hopefully are taking away is that you need 2 things, a slope and a y-intercept. You should know what both those things are now. And yeah, you should be able to do those practice problems in your book for homework. All right? Good luck. We'll see you later.